Well, good afternoon and welcome to the NLP Talks Podcast. It's a while since I've said that, but if you are watching live or on the replay on YouTube or in our NLP Talks Podcast community, then please do comment and say hello and let us know that you're either joining us live or on the replay. If you are joining us live, then please make sure that you put your name on the comments, because otherwise we cannot see that it is you. I just can't believe I'm back here for series 7, episode 1, for a podcast where I was only supposed to be doing one series back in when did we launch this podcast? Or I should check that. 2018, something like that. I don't know, but long time ago. So anyway, Laura, stop waffling. Today I am super excited to introduce Brandy to you. Good afternoon, Brandy. How are you?
Hello, I'm good, excited and nervous and everything in between.
You're going to love it. We're just going to chat. And that's what this podcast is known for, right? So Brandy, for the purpose of people watching on YouTube and Facebook today, could I just get you just in a few lines just to explain who you are and what you do?
Well, I'm Brandy. I'm a mindset and empowerment coach nowadays. I left my HR role a few months ago, and I'm just enjoying and then thriving on this life of entrepreneur.
I love it. And I can't wait to talk to you all about that. So I'm just writing down your job title so that I get that right when we get the official recording out. So good. Okay, well, without further ado, let's get going. So Brandy, I know that you started your NLP journey about 2 years ago.
Yes.
And I'd like to get you to cast your mind back to 2 years ago when you first discovered me and NLP, and give us a bit of a flavour for what life was like for you back then, some of the challenges and frustrations perhaps you were experiencing, and what was it that inevitably brought you to NLP?
Wow. So it actually started in April. I discovered you in April 2020, when everyone was on a completely different planet, and including me. And I think life there was very, for me, not general, was very unsettling. I was triggered by anything and everything in my life. I've always been highly emotional, always been a crying baby, always been a bit angry. So when I think someone talked about NLP, and then I found you on LinkedIn. And I was like, okay, let me see what's this about. People were talking a lot. No, you can't do NLP because it's about manipulation. And well, maybe it's not. And then the way I discover it is completely not. So I did a diploma with you, the online course that you had in April at that time. You were still too far for me in Cardiff. I was like, nope, I'm not going there. It's too far. I can't go there. It's like, I can't drive 3 hours. But then things changed, and I was like, but why not? I like her, as in I liked you at that time. I want to go and do this face to face. So why not? I'm looking. And at that time, I was just looking for my own, let's say, healing, just to fix the things that I thought I had in my head, to be less emotional, less angry, less that you or I heard so much in my life. Stop being that emotional, stop being that loud, stop being this, stop being that. And that was the purpose why, when I found you, why I was so interested in NLP.
So for you, it was very much about personal development then, and self-improvement as you saw it at that time. But isn't it interesting? Because I can relate to what you've just said, because so much, if you go all the way back to our childhood and our early teenage years and early 20s even, there are so many people that want to share an opinion with you about you, don't they? Like you said, you're too loud, you're too emotional, and then you start to question yourself, don't you? It's almost like it starts to erode away your confidence and erode your notion of who you are, and you start to doubt yourself, don't you, and doubt who you are and what you are, and I guess that's probably something you can relate to back then.
Yes, definitely. And then also coming here, I came in UK 20 years ago, so English is not my first language. I've always been worried that my English is not enough, and I had issues that people were correcting my letters in red, and that put even more strain on my, am I good at this? Am I good at what I'm doing? Should I do this, or should I just do completely something else where I don't need to talk, I don't need to express myself, and then so be it? No, that's no.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And yeah, I think it's fascinating, isn't it? When you think some of the challenges that you've had in your life that have led you to this point in 2020 where you went, actually, I need to, almost inverted commas, fix myself. I need to sort out all these issues that people are telling me that I've got. And you start to believe them, don't you, yourself? And I'm sure our listeners can relate to that as well. All of a sudden, someone says something to you, and then all of a sudden you think, oh, maybe they're right, particularly if they're someone you hold in the status of expert or parent or whatever.
Yeah. But and working in hospitality, because I worked for, 15 years in hospitality industry. As you know, it's a very intense industry. It's very harsh. You have to deal with a lot of things. And if you're not okay within yourself, I think it's even harder to get all that things that is thrown to you all the time. It's quite difficult. And at the end of hospitality, the end of hospitality years was like, I can't deal with people. I want to help people, but can you be on the other side? Because I can't. So yes, it's a lot of things that you keep telling yourself that you are not good at something.
Yeah. So you are not local to where we run our courses, as you've already said. So you were 3 hours away, and I totally get that. That's a big decision, right? You've got a beautiful doggy, and to be away from home for perhaps 7-11 days at a time takes a lot of planning. It takes a lot of effort on your part to make that happen, as well as the financial investment in yourself. So I'm just curious about that decision point, because I think we all go through that. It's a big investment of time and money, and do I invest in me? Do I invest in the trainer?
Yes.
Like how
do I invest in a coach? Because it was either or.
So explain a little bit about how you made that decision, because you're right, it is usually an either or between getting a coach and doing it one-to-one, or do you come on the courses and do your personal development whilst also training yourself to be able to help other people? So what was your decision making around that?
I think I even know, and then someone laughs about me, that I remember dates very clear. It was 29 August 2020, and I heard about the course. I knew that your prac course is 10 days in March, whatever, and I had to make a decision. And I was like, I don't know what this is. I need a sign, when you need signs from out there. And on that day, I bought a book about Hawaiian spirituality, which, other interests of mine. And I was reading about, and I was very impressed by the book and very keen to finish the book. And when I look on the back of the book, who wrote that book, it was all written by NLP practitioners. And I was, that's it, I'm done. I'm just done. Let me call Lynn, your number 1, number 2. And then I will book the course. I'll see how I can do it. And then in March 2021, I'll book holidays. I'll book anything it is, and I'll do it. So that was that.
Amazing. And there is, you know, maybe I need to, maybe we should do another episode at some point about Huna. But there's the ancient, if the word Huna is new to you, if you're a listener of the podcast, then Huna is an ancient Hawaiian spirituality, and it was one of the things that they studied back at the very beginning when they were creating NLP. And there are threads of it all the way through what we do. And so if you're a listener of this podcast and you're into spirituality, and into energy work and things like that, then certainly, you know, that would be a good thing. If you want to go and start having a look at it, then Brandy and I are both massive fans of Serge King. So if you go and Google him, you will find out a little bit about him. So yeah, anyway, let's not turn this into a Huna and spirituality podcast, because that's not
yet.
That's another one. That's another one. Yes. So you came on the courses, you came and did your NLP practitioner course.
So I did a prac and then the coach. Was it the coach
course? I think you did the two together, didn't you, as 11 days?
Yes. And then, well, I think that changed my life. So on the Thursday, when you have the timeline therapy sessions, when the masters are coming, that was the day when everything released, all the negative things that I was carried, I just let them go. And then I felt brighter. I felt like I could fly. I remember driving from the training place to home where I stayed in Cardiff. And it felt like if the car could fly, I would be the happiest. But that was the feeling. And I got to the place where I was living, Airbnb, and then the thing that I did was I sent to my father a message that I forgive him, and I get emotional because I've been carrying all that for so many years, and then suddenly it's just gone like this.
Yeah,
it's just, and then the relationship from there, and people are laughing sometimes when I say it's like you're crazy, and I don't think I'm well, I am, but not in that aspect. I think that in the same thing, my healing about him and about all the situation, I think that in the same time healed him, and then he's in a better, at least mentally in a way, he's in a better position. But
so let's just backtrack just a little bit, if that's okay, because you covered a lot of ground there in a very short period of time, and I just want to
I talk like you.
Yeah, exactly. We can both talk very quickly, right? Yeah. So regular listeners to the podcast will know that. So you came to Cardiff, you came and did the certified NLP practitioner and coach course with me. And as you've already said, one of the things that we do with students on our NLP practitioner courses, we bring in, and this is quite unique because very, very few NLP training providers do this. But what we do is we bring in a number of our NLP master practitioners, so certified master practitioners, and they come in and help on our practitioner course. And it's one of the most beautiful things about the Unleash Your Potential community is we have such an amazing community of people that really value what they've got from me and from our community, and are very happy to reciprocate back to the community what others have done for them, which I know you've also very kindly done for our community. Now you're a master practitioner, but if we just stay to the point at which you were on your practitioner course, so your first certified training with me, and one of the other master practitioners came in and gave you that experience. And we often talk on our practitioner course, the timeline therapy section being like the hidden gem. Because, as I say, very, very few NLP training providers do this. And we get master practitioners that come in and we take the students through what we call the 5 negative emotions. Now, if you are not familiar with timeline therapy and this is the first time that you're listening to this podcast, please go back to listen to, there's an episode specifically on timeline therapy and what it is and how it works. So go back and listen to that. But it is often, and as you've said, Brandy, yourself, a life-changing moment for people. And I know that that afternoon on your prac courses is a day that you will remember for the rest of your life. I know you will, because it was such a significant part of your healing journey, to heal yourself because of all the things that had happened to you in the past. And just like with NLP, it's content free, so we don't need to talk about the detail of that. But nevertheless, you absolutely had a huge transformation for you. Now, you mentioned there that part of the learnings which came from timeline therapy for you were around forgiveness. And timeline therapy and NLP is not specifically designed to be a forgiveness practice. It wasn't designed for that. But I'm never surprised when I take clients through it if forgiveness comes up, right? And forgiveness for me falls into two categories. There is forgiveness of self, and there is forgiveness of others. And in my experience, having taken hundreds and hundreds of people through this now, sometimes it's one, sometimes it's the other, and sometimes it's both. And so in the example here, you talked about, just after your timeline therapy, you had got the courage and the bravery, to text your dad and say, I forgive you. Now, that, as you've already mentioned, was a pivotal moment for you and him in your relationship. Now, I don't want to know what you had to forgive him for and all of that, but I'm guessing it was for something that happened a long time ago.
Exactly.
A long time ago. So this was not something that happened the week before or the month before. We're talking years before. Yeah. And so that's a burden, if I call it that you had carried for many, many years. And I would imagine contributed significantly to some of the challenges which you had in your life, because you were carrying this heavy burden. So although you kind of now can sit here having done all of your healing work, and you can sit here and do that, the whole idea of having the courage to actually say and genuinely believe, and because there are lots of forgiveness practices that are out there, and I don't particularly wish to mention them, but there are lots of very superficial forgiveness practices that don't really get to the root of it. And I know you've tried some of those, and perhaps they gave you some benefit.
Yes, but and then I think in total, and with NLP, that was the moment when all gelled together, and it was like, this is it.
Yeah.
This comes from you directly. So,
and forgiveness, I think, is an interesting one, right? Because and I'd be interested to get your take on this. But for me, the person, in your case, it was forgiveness of others. So let's be clear. We'll come back to forgiveness of self in a minute. But forgiveness of others, someone did something, said something, there was some kind of event that caused you some discomfort. And so I'm going to call it a burden, but there was a problem. And the problem is this: whatever was said or done at that time can't be changed now. That is a matter of record. But if we hold a grudge, we feel angry, we hold on to that for the rest of our lives. We know from the research that holding on to negative emotions harms our body, right? And it manifests in our body. You've only got to go and read the Body Keeps the Score. What's that book you talked about? Yeah, Body Keeps the Score. I think that was the book you mentioned. And if you've not read that book, by the way, and you're interested, definitely recommend it. And I think it's for you, it was so profound. It wasn't just words, I forgive you.
No.
It was a heartfelt release for you, wasn't it? That you felt.
It was a release, actually. It was a release. That, and then you say it, and then it's kind of, you start going through logic process that everything that happened, we do everything we do with the best options that we have in our lives, and it is what it is, and you can't change whatever happened. It's 30 years ago, it's, my God, 35 years ago, it's a lifetime ago. But carrying all that for a lifetime, that's not healthy for no one.
And so the forgiving of him, what impact did that have on you? So I'm not interested, and I'm not, don't want to talk disrespectfully about your dad, but I'm not interested in him.
No.
I'm interested in the impact it had on you. So after you'd done timeline therapy and you'd had this massive realization that finally it was time to let this thing go, to allow yourself to be free of it, to allow yourself to actually move forward in your life without dragging this weight behind you, which is often what it feels like. Just describe, like, how did your relationship with your dad change because of that decision that you made, and what difference did it make to you?
I think we just started to talk. That's all. It's like we didn't talk. It was Christmas, birthdays, and that's it over the years, for many years. And then suddenly we just started to talk every week, every month, every whatever. And then I started to go more often, just for a few days, to see him. And it just changed it's when you're not carrying that anger and hate and everything around you, it just suddenly is like it's an open and it's something bright inside you. And then you can concentrate on other things. Then you stop carrying that, and then yes, you'll find other things to, let's say, fix. But the major one maybe is gone. The major one that you were carrying for so many years is gone. So you can do is like, okay, now what's next? What's next? I have issues. Oh, I have issues with my English. Okay, let's fix that. I have issues with this. Let's do this. So there is space to look around you and inside you to see what's there actually. Who are you in this moment, without carrying the hate, the resentment, and then all that. Who are you? And then you find out actually, who are you?
I love it. Now, I know that part of your healing journey also involved you needing to forgive yourself. So we've talked about forgiveness of others, but there was also an element of forgiving yourself. So how did that transpire for you?
I think that was maybe a longer process. I think we are more keen to forgive others without actually looking what all that carrying all that, let's say, hate, anger, whatever, along the years, what did it do to you? So this is where I believe that you have to find the strength to forgive yourself. Because yes, you'll forgive everyone. So what, as you say nicely, so what? What about you? You allow yourself for those years to be in that situation, to blame everyone for what happened to you, to make bad decisions or good decisions, but sometimes you don't even appreciate those good decisions. Yeah. So I got to that point where it was, okay, whatever happened, and I think that happened probably during my breakthrough, during my master. I keep skipping,
talk about it. It's cool. Yeah.
But that happened during my breakthrough session, the 2 days session, because then I realized that, okay, I forgive people, but what about me? I did so many things that I'm not happy about, and I wasn't happy about, but it is what it is. I can't change them. I can't change my life. I can't change the decision that I made 10, 15 years, 20 years ago. All I can do to forgive myself for the decision that I made at that time. And then in time, and even now, I think it's a conscious process. I do something or something happens and I go through, okay, I need to forgive myself. I need to look. I did what I thought is best at that time. I need to let it go. What's the lesson? Let it go. I can forgive myself.
Yeah. And I know you've talked previously, and we've talked previously about, owning who you are and accepting that this is me. And I know this was a big part for you of your transformation from the master's program when you did that, and in particular your breakthrough with your breakthrough partner. Just give us a flavor for what does that really mean in day-to-day terms when you say that, this is me and I'm actually owning who I am now? And, because there'll be lots of listeners to this podcast that will go, oh my God, I wish I could, but I don't know how. And if only I could. And I don't, as you've already said, I don't know who I really am. And all of those questions which we all go through, but just give our listeners a flavor of the personal piece about accepting who you are and that this is me, and just having an inner knowing everything's going to be all right, that kind of thing.
I mentioned at the beginning that I've always been highly emotional. I always cried. I always expressed my emotions, good, bad, whatever they were. And I've always been blamed, let's say, for those emotions, and even in the past year probably happened. But what's more interesting that in the past, after my NLP master training, I started to accept that. Yes, I will have a day when I'm crying. It's okay. It's okay to get emotional. Something bad happened. I got upset about something. Yes, it's okay to be emotional. And this is who I am. And I think I'm going to live longer because I'm emotional and I can take everything out. Yes. But it makes a difference when you start assessing who you are and then look deep down there to say, I accept this. And yes, I'll have a bad day today, but I know that tomorrow I'm going to be okay because I have all the means in my hand to be okay.
Yeah. And I know that there's a particular thing that when you're having a bad day, and let's face it, we all have them. I think sometimes, I know people listen to the podcast or come in the training course and they look at me and, successful businesswoman, that's, great and done loads of personal development. And oh my God, Laura's life must be amazing. I assure you, I have bad days too, but what I do know, which is I think what you're alluding to, which is I dust myself off much faster. I get myself back on track much faster.
Yeah.
If I go back to pre-NLP, I mean, I could have been blown off course for days, weeks, months even. Yeah. Whereas now it's an hour or a few hours or it's one day. And then I'm like, right, come on, today's a new day. Let's go. Let's be grateful for the fact that we're here. We woke up today and we've got an opportunity to make a difference today. Yeah. And I think, that's always hard. So it's always good, but it's challenging to go through those dips. But let's not delude ourselves. We all have them. Yeah. So when you're in one of those dips, I know there's a particular way that you manage your mindset, which I think the listeners are going to love hearing about and is a tip they can use too. So share with us what you do.
I think it's different. I had quite a few challenges this year, let's say. Let's call them challenges. I think during those periods when I couldn't see too many things, what's happening, or I couldn't see the future, bright future in that particular day, it was a constant thing in my head, okay, this thing happened, it's bad, it's not ideal, but what's the learning there? This thing happened for me to learn something. What's the lesson there? What can I take from here that would move me to next week? Because definitely whatever, and I also believe that whatever happens around us, we attract them. In whatever way and shape and form, we attract bad, good things. So, okay, you attract a bad thing. What's the lesson there? What did you learn from there? It happened. It's gone. You can't necessarily.
Sorry. I think there's a noise outside. I do apologize. That's Rupert, my dog, for those of you listening. I'm just going to shut the office door. Sorry. Go on. Carry on, Brandy. Sorry.
No. So, yes, bottom line is something bad happened. Okay, fine. Let it go. What's the lesson there? Because there is always something to learn from every situation. And that was coming from my NLP days and NLP training. Yeah. I don't think I had that mindset before to look at, to see, is there anything to learn? no, I don't care about that. But now it's different.
Yeah.
You find a lesson, and then even necessarily if you can't conscientize the lesson, it's there in your head, somewhere deep there in an unconscious level, so you can move forward with it.
Yeah.
And then in time it will release, and the bright days are coming back.
Absolutely. No, I love it. And you're right. There's so many NLP principles that sit behind everything that you've just said. And those people listening to this podcast that are trained in NLP will probably be able to spot them. But you've just beautifully explained, for example, the cause effect equation. So when you're at the effect side of something or someone else, in this case, a situation that's happened, which is less than desirable, you ask yourself, so what can I do about it? What are the learnings? What can I take from this? And look to take the positive. And of course, timeline therapy works on the basis of the fact that we take learnings and that releases emotions. And it's one of the things that we share with our clients, isn't it, when we've done timeline therapy with them, so that they can continue to release emotions on a regular basis and not have them held up inside their body, and actually release them and move on. But I love the phrase, what's the lesson here? What's the lesson here? I think listeners of this podcast, if I would recommend one thing, it's write that on a piece of paper somewhere, put it in your office, put it on your notice board, stick it to your computer. What's the lesson? Because if you can take something positive, a lesson from any situation that you're in, then something good has come from it. And some people might call that the silver lining to the cloud, or whatever metaphor you wish. But what's the lesson here, I think, is a really positive way to take something from a situation. And I just love that that's the habit that you've created for yourself. And I think that's really helpful to share with everyone. So obviously you've completed your training with me now. You did your practitioner, your coach, your master practitioner, and then you have decided to walk away from your HR career. So you were an HR professional for many years, and you decided to walk away from that and set up your coaching business. Now we're going to come on to talk about this. However, I'm just curious, what was it that brought you to the decision that setting up your own business and setting up your own coaching business was what you wanted to be doing rather than working in HR?
I think that I made a decision I think I made the decision that I want to be a coach during my prac course. Yes, I started with the idea that is for my personal development, but while we were going through the course, I thought this is too good not to share with people, not to put it out in the world. This is too good to just keep it for myself. So yes, I did a master, and then it was all a matter of like, I'm going to do the coaching on the side, and then I'm going to do the HR. However, in time, you realize that with coaching and the type of I think we do the same with the type of coaching we do. We bring what I think I want to bring is passion and purpose in people's life. I don't see that on HR side. So I'm coming from my HR days, and instead of concentrating on how to bring happiness in other people's life, I had to fix myself again. It's like, okay, let me go through my daily routine of like making sure I'm okay daily and I'm not going nuts. And then at some point you can't do both. So I think that was at some point this year, probably in July. And also I turned 50, and then you start assessing your life. It's like, I don't know why we all do it zeros. We assess who we are, what we're doing, where we're going. So that was, for me, is like, I'm 50. Where am I going? It's what's happening. This HR role, it's not life fulfilling what I thought is going to be. I need to give it a go and to be brave enough to leave this side and just concentrate on my coaching side. And of course, as you know, you hear everyone saying, have you lost your mind this time? completely? Well, yes, maybe. But if I don't do it, or if I didn't do it, I knew I'm going to feel sorry always that I didn't take a chance on I didn't take a chance on me. Because bottom line, this is what it is. It doesn't matter what's the future. If you don't take a chance on you, on something that you really, really want, then what's the point? Just doing for everything other people are telling you to do because that's what normal, and that's what the society is telling you to do, that you have to whatever do. No.
Yeah.
So
I love the idea of take a chance on you, and I think that's exactly, you've got to back you.
Yeah.
And if you're in a career that is not fulfilling you anymore, is not doing what you want to do, and I think you are right, the big O's, the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, people often sit there, don't they, and go, actually, what am I here for? And actually, what is life all about? And actually, do I want another 10 years of this?
No.
And, you know, and a lot of us don't, we get to the point of going, no, I don't want another 10 years of this. Okay, well, you know, it's like that old saying, isn't it? If you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. I can't remember who said that quote now, but
Albert Einstein, the definition of doing silly things. Let me put it in a very diplomatic way.
But it's true, and you've chosen to take matters into your own hands, to back yourself, to give yourself a chance, and I think we always, that nothing's without risk. Of course it's not, but sometimes you have to have the courage to say no to one thing so that something else has happened. And I think you said that earlier on in the podcast. So so I think that's that's brilliant. And yes, everybody told me I'd lost my mind too. Why would you walk away from a regular salary and a really well-paid job and all of that? And I'm like, because I'm bored, and because I'm heartbroken, and because it sucked the life out of me. And actually, I want to get my spring back in my step, and I actually want to help people. I actually want to be able to make a difference. When they put me in that box in the ground, I want to know that my life stood for something, and I actually made a difference while I was here, not just implementing big corporate agendas that, and let's not go down that road. But anyway, no, because we both used to work in human resources, and we both used to do all of that, and we've moved on. So let's talk then more excitingly about your coaching business. So you have set up your coaching business called the Dragonfly Coach. So talk to me about Dragonfly. Why is it the Dragonfly Coach?
In a strange way, I realized that yes, I have the earrings now, so I bought them 2 years ago. But then looking back in my jewelry, I have actually a few pairs of dragonflies. So it's not fairly new, but during my timeline therapy, when you're completely in a different world, I had dragonflies coming in my head. So when I was conscious, let's say, I felt this, after the timeline therapy, I said, this is my business going to be called. And even if it's a name that is quite used, and I looked through other things, other options, at the end was, no, this is it. This is what I want. I don't want something else. And it's about transformation. And then when I was talking with you, it came to me, is about flying free. It's about having a direction, having a helicopter view, which I love that expression, seeing clear things around you. And that's what I'm trying to do and then provide for my clients.
I love that. And there's for those of you listening to the episode, there's a beautiful dragonfly on her wall behind where she's currently sat, which is beautiful. And I love the fact that that means something. You know, and dragonflies are beautiful, but it's a little bit like the story of the caterpillar, isn't it? We don't ever stop to recognize the transition and the transformation that a butterfly, for example, goes through. You know, the effort that has to go in for its transformation from being a caterpillar to being a butterfly, and the process. I don't know much about dragonflies, I'm not going to lie to you, but I'm assuming the dragonfly would go through some similar transformation process to become the beautiful dragonfly that it is, because they're stunning. I love the colors on little dragonflies.
I'm colorful, and that suits me so much that I can change colors. And someone asked me, what's your favorite color? I don't have a favorite colors. I like all colors. So that's exactly like a dragonfly. It's multicolor, which it again represents what I want to bring in other people's life. The colors of life, that when you see colors, it makes you feel happier.
Amazing. I love it. So obviously, this year has been a massive transformation for you, because the early part of this year you were in HR, and then in the summer you decided to do this transformation. So you're at the early part of your a journey into the Dragonfly Coach. But I wonder, is there a client that you've already worked with that you're really proud of, that you've been able to help someone really make a difference in their life with the skills that you now have? And I wonder if you might be able to share some of that with us.
I had someone that I went through a breakthrough mindset coaching. So it's the package of 2 days intense coach. So you spend 2 days with me in a location, and I'm draining you with questions, with things. And then at the end of these 2 days, it felt like the person I was with, my client, she felt very shy at the beginning. And the transformation at the end, and that's why I changed the title of what I'm doing. It felt like the lioness. It felt like I just transformed from the little mouse to the lioness, that he was chatty, that he was like confident, sitting in a different way. And that was one of the first clients I had exactly 2 months ago. So in 2 months, she already got the promotion, and then she's already looking to other things to do in her life. So a completely change in a very short period.
It's amazing,
That's
isn't it?
why I thought I will change to my coaching title to empowering women, because this is all I did even through HR days, and then through the hospitality days. I always tried, and I did my best to empower people around me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think the 2-day intensive coaching which we do, which you call your mindset breakthrough, I just think it's transformational. As you said, you know, it's 2 days. I liken it a little bit to when you have a problem with a car. You lift up the bonnet, you have a good route around in the engine, you find all the bits that aren't working quite as well as they should be, and you align everything behind the client's goal, and then all of a sudden, you know, great things start to happen in their life. And it is, you know, 2 full days. You know, as you said, we start off with the questioning section to really get to the root of the problem, and to really make sure that the client and us as the coach are really clear on what the big issues are and what it is we need to do to have that move forward and be fixed. And then we spend the majority of the time then doing various techniques with the clients, in order to, you know, really help them move forward. Timeline therapy and lots of that being a big part of it, as well as a bunch of other techniques, values level thinking, prime concerns, like all of the master practitioner, master coach tools that we have available. I know values is something that's really important to you, and I'm sure a big part of the session that you just talked about with your client would have been about values. Do you want to just share a little bit about why why values are so important to you and the role you think they play in our transformation.
I think, well, I can just give you from my example. One thing is, like, when I did my diploma course with you, and you talk about values, I think this is what I wanted. One of the things I wanted, it was like, I want to have these values done, because the moment when you have your values done, and our values are at a conscious level. So yes, we think that we know what we are and then what they are, but actually that we don't know. So when you did my values during master coach course on relationships, and they were exactly, although I never thought that these were my values in terms of relationships, they were exactly what they were considering my life. So actually, when you do your values and then you look, okay, from point of view, career, relationship, whatever they are, and you go back to your past, you can figure out, oh, this is where I am the way I am. This is why I don't have children. This is why whatever. And then during the breakthrough, you can change these values. You can adapt them to your goal, to what you actually want in life. And things are starting to rearrange in your life in such a beautiful way that is sometimes you can't even see it clear. You just see that, oh, it just happened and I'm there. I'm what those values were saying, that what I choose to do in the my breakthrough session, it's now I'm there, and I have everything I wanted from that time now. And it's just amazing. It's you look back and then it's like, oh, this is what it is. This is how it's to live with the right values that you thought you want, and you thought that you have them, but actually they were not, because we build these values from 0 to 7, from 7 to 14 years old. So we don't have any say whatsoever in what our values, like all deep level. So yes, they are transformational, completely.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember when I was in my breakthrough, when I was the client, being faced with my values, and I did business and relationship and family and health and fitness, I think. And when you sit there for the very first time and you look at your values on a sheet of paper and you go, it's not what I want, but it does explain why my life is the way it is.
Yes.
But the great thing about the way that we work with people is that once you realize what they really are, and by the way, for those of you listening to the podcast, if you think you know what your values are, I bet you don't, because none of us that have been through this process realize what our values really were until we got there. But the brilliant thing is, when you sit there and look at them and go, that explains exactly why I am where I am. And I know that with NLP, I can change them, and I can actually sort out my motivation. I can sort out what's really important to me. Yeah, it's just fascinating, isn't it? It's absolutely fascinating. Brandy, it's been so wonderful having you on the podcast today. Thank you so much for coming and joining me and so openly sharing your story. I know that it is going to inspire a lot of people. As you say, Brandy, there's always a choice between, do you want to work one-to-one with someone as a master coach, or do you want to come and do the courses? If someone did want to work one-to-one with you as a master coach, how should they reach out to you, Brandy? How would they get hold of you?
So my website is thedragonflycoach.com. So it's .com. I can be found on LinkedIn at Brandy Dragan. So my first name is Brandy, spelled as in alcohol. Very easy to spell like this. And the surname is Dragan, Dragan. Yes, make sure you don't put O as in dragon. Yes, I'm I'm still with the A.
Love it.
And email address will be brandy.dragan at thedragonflycoach.com. I had to remember.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And I love that you said Brandy like the drink. I love it. Everybody will know remember. That. Brandy like the drink, and then surname is spelled Dragan. And you'll find her on LinkedIn, and also at on her website, thedragonflycoach.com. So, Brandy, as you know, we always wrap up the episodes with the quick fire. None of you ever know what I'm going to ask you. So those of you listening, this is totally off the cuff. She has no idea what I'm going to say. This is the bit where they all tell me before we start. Laura, I'm really nervous about this bit, but I still do it anyway. And they will give me some great answers. So
I was hoping you're going to give me some tips when you're going to answer. No.
Everybody, do you know what? Everybody always says that on the podcast, but you say that they're like that you don't tell them, but you do really, don't you? No, I really don't. They are absolutely off the cuff. So here we go with your quick fire questions. So name the 3 most influential people in your life and how have they impacted you?
Wow. Okay. I will start with my mother, that I wouldn't be where I am without her. I might get emotional with these questions.
I'll get on with it.
Yes, I know. With you, I can't do emotions. Tina Turner, because of where she was and how she overcome all that bad life, and she was a star, the biggest star for me. And then third, it was someone that I worked home many years ago. This is like 30 years ago, 20, I don't remember. Her name is Monica, and then she had a big impact in my life, of being fast, of thinking on my feet, and so on.
Amazing. I love it. Thank you. What is your favorite happiness hack? So in terms of happiness, do you have a hack? Do you have something that you do to bring happiness into your life?
I think it's my dog. She's here. Luna.
Oh, yes. Hi, Luna. She's got a beautiful dog.
If I have a bad moment, whatever, I just go for a cuddle, for a walk, for whatever. I just play with her, and that's my happiness.
Oh, I love it. If you could take one thing to a desert island, what would you take?
You asked me this before, long time ago. I will take Luna.
You take Luna. Okay,
yes.
Good. If you could have dinner with anyone, dead or alive, that's famous, who would you want to have dinner with?
Tony Robbins, million times.
That would be amazing. That would be amazing. Is there 1 or 2 books that have particularly influenced your life, and how have they influenced you?
I think you were frozen. So books, you said.
Yes. So books, 1 or 2 books that have particularly impacted your life.
I suppose one will be like one of the Huna books of Serge King. And I'm just trying to look. Oh, and then another one, it's called Thriving as an Empath. That's trying to keep your emotions and keep someone else's emotions there.
I love it. Well done. Pass with flying colours. Anyway, Brandy, listen, thank you so much for coming and joining me on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're most welcome. It's always so lovely for me to have people back on the podcast that over a period of time have done all the courses, and to hear about the difference that it makes for people. And I'm just so delighted that NLP has been able to help you with your healing journey, and all of the forgiveness and having the courage and bravery to follow your passion of helping people. And I wish you every success with the Dragonfly Coach rather.
Not dragon.
No, not dragon. No, absolutely. No, dragonflycoach.com. I wish you every success with that. If you are a listener of the podcast and you've been inspired by Brandy's story in terms of what the NLP courses that she did with me have done for her, then of course we are now running NLP courses online, so you can join me from anywhere in the world as long as you've got Wi-Fi, and do your certified NLP practitioner and certified coach courses with me online. We don't have that many spaces left now for the spring 2024 online practitioner course, so do get in touch quickly if you are interested in that. And of course, we are also running all our courses in person, as always in Cardiff, close to where I live, and we are currently piloting running some courses in Birmingham too. So if Birmingham is closer to where you live, then we have them there. So plenty of ways for people to access high quality NLP training with a multi-award winning NLP trainer. That's me. And come and hang out and come and learn how you can get some of the best personal development for yourself and be equipped to help others should you wish to do that. If you'd want to find out more about our courses, please go to unleashyourpotential.org.uk. That's unleashyourpotential.org.uk, or drop us an email, info@unleashyourpotential.org.uk, and you'll get the wonderful Lynn, who will chat with you about what you're looking for and let you know if we can help. So again, Brandy, thank you so much for joining me. And thank you to all of our wonderful listeners all the way around the globe. It's great to be back. And I can't wait to be back here with episode 2 in just a few weeks' time. So take care, everyone.